ArchieLuxury channel, fuckers. ArchieLuxury channel. And today I'm doing paid reviews because I don't do shit for free. And it's Friday, it's St. Patrick's Day. So fuck it, fuckers. I'm going to have some, I got some Jameson. This is Cask Mates. Jameson Cask Mates. I got it cheap when I was coming through duty free there. So that's my excuse anyhow. So let's have a talk here. We've got some great paid reviews and I want to cover some really good topics. And remember, like, subscribe and tell your fuckhead friends about my channel. And don't forget, look in the description for 10 ways you can help ArchieLuxury stay full-time on YouTube. Stay full-time on YouTube. So happy St. Patrick's Day, fuckers. And the first one is from Gus. This is from Gus. And Gus has sent me $50 US. He says, please educate me on why a Patek Philippe watch is the #1 watch in the world and why I should get one. Very good question indeed, Gus. Look, what is the best of anything in this world? And I mean, look, that is a very hard decision to make, Gus. It really is hard. And I mean, to be completely frank and honest with you, what is the best of anything, Gus? What is the best of anything? And I gotta tell you, Gus, what is the best car? Well, what is the best SUV? I mean, these are questions. What is the best wristwatch? And these are, there's a bit of truth, bit of bullshit, and a bit of hype in all these answers. When you say what is the best car, people, it's regarded that the Rolls-Royce is considered the best. Now, that's not to say Maybach is inferior. That's not to say Bentley is not as good. These are just, you know, this is what is considered the absolute best in the world. And to be honest with you, Gus, it's Rolls-Royce. That's the answer. Now, Rolls-Royce of old is very different to Rolls-Royce of new. The same can be said for wristwatches as well. Why is Patek Philippe considered #1? Why is it considered #1? And it's basically, it's a consensus from experts. It's like global warming. Does it exist? And the really smart people who should know this shit say it does exist. Whereas, you know, you've got to look at it. Really smart people who know about good watches consider Patek Philippe to be the best. Is Patek the best? Well, that is a very interesting question. Is it the absolute best? There have been more expensive things. There's been brands have produced really dear pieces with diamonds and things like that there. But I think, to be honest with you, in wristwatches themselves there, Patek Philippe is considered the best. Now, this is a bit of truth, and if you look back on Patek, Patek has always been a high-end watchmaker. They've always been Swiss. They've always been upper echelon. They've also, in the industry for many years there, they've been considered one of the Holy Trinity. The Holy Trinity comprises of the 3 Swiss brands, Audemars Piguet, Patek Philippe, and Vacheron Constantin. Now, Patek has been considered part of this elite group. Those 3 are probably the best 3 in the Swiss world. Now, you could say Lange, how does Lange fit in? And what about Breguet? Well, Breguet was originally a French company, so it can't enter the Swiss realm. And Lange was, well, that's the Germans. So you look at it and think, well, okay, it's been regarded over time that Patek Philippe is the best brand. Now, since that, you've had other high-end brands like Richard Mille have come out, FP Journe, boutique brands. And what is the answer? Well, the answer is, what is considered the best? You've got to accept it. Now, it's like, what is the best car? It is generally considered Rolls-Royce. Now, that's not to say Maybach or, is any lesser of a car, but this is the consensus over time. There is no fucking fairness in this world. I mean, we're born in the Western world. We've won the lotto of life. We're born in the developing world or the third world. We're behind the 8 ball. So the reality is, these are things that have been set over time. One thing I will say is the three older, well-established brands, the Holy Trinity, Audemars Piguet, Patek Philippe, Vacheron and Constantin. They are the Holy Trinity members. Now, out of those three, Patek, by a number of collectors, consensus feeling is they are the most highly regarded wristwatch brand in the world. Now, that may not be the case, but it probably is the case. So, with that said, it's sort of folklore that Patek Philippe is number one. And with that said, they have made many innovations. They've had many wonderful, complicated, many fantastic pieces. So you got to hand it. Patek, whether you think they are the best or not the best, that's open for debate. But there is no question of they are highly respected, highly valued, and they are in that top 3 of Swiss brands, the Holy Trinity. So Patek, why is it number one? It's because Patek is a long-established company, high recognition of quality, high recognition of innovation and design. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. Now, with that said, you've got to acknowledge Patek Philippe for the number of pieces they make, which is rumored to be around 50,000 a year, which is a fairly limited production run, high quality, consistently high quality, consistently recognized the world over as the best wristwatch. And to be completely honest, without looking at these obscure little micro brands that may have more expensive or more complicated pieces, you've got to say, all in all, Patek makes some wonderful pieces, absolutely wonderful pieces. I mean, you compare a Patek Philippe to a Rolex, and it's clear that Patek Philippe is a lot more attention to detail, a lot more the traditional art of watchmaking is the way the movement is prepared, the way the movement is done. Now, that's not to say the Patek would last longer in the jungle compared to a Rolex. That's definitely, I would say the Rolex would probably last a hell of a lot longer, but we're giving respect where it's due, and the Patek is a highly decorative, highly decorated movement, it's a beautiful thing. So why is it number one? Well, it's number one because it's one of the Swiss 3. It's highly respected by a lot of people who know about watches, and it's got a long history of being so highly regarded. And Patek Philippe, in many ways, there you look at those top three brands, AP, Audemars Piguet, Vacheron, and Patek. Patek has become the winner because it kind of survived the quartz crisis. They remained independent. They had faith in themselves. And let's be completely frank there, they probably marketed better than the other brands of similar stature. So, highly regarded, very, very well made, very, and it's also a well made piece on a bigger than just a boutique scale. It's kind of 50,000 is still quite a lot of pieces. So it's kind of, that's regarded as the best. Now, do I think Patek is number one? Look, I think it is. I think for the number of pieces they produce a year, the quality and the workmanship that goes into them is second to none. Rolex is a different type of animal. They have a lot more. They're producing, it's rumored to be 1 million pieces. So you would argue it's a different sector of the market. Patek's gone for that very, very upper echelon customer. And the reality is they make some damn fine pieces. Even if you're not into dress watches, you can still have a respect for them. And that's the whole thing with Patek. They are highly respected, they're a piece of art really, which is what they sort of are. Now, the thing is this. They've attained this status and they're regarded as the best in the world. And I mean, you've always got other brands, there's boutique brands, but think of it this way. For a company that makes 50,000 pieces a year, okay, so this is not just a very small boutique micro brand, this is a serious operation. To have that consistent quality, that consistent throughput, to be able to support a business in Switzerland, which is damn expensive, is pretty amazing. AP does a similar thing. Yes, it does, but probably not as well as Patek. Vacheron, and this is where it gets interesting, is that Vacheron's considered, the grandfather. It's kind of its days when its heydays were the 40s, 50s. Audemars Piguet is kind of the future. They're pushing so ahead with brands like models like the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak and the Royal Oak offshore chronograph, offshore diver. They're working, that's kind of the future. Whereas Patek very much is the current. Now, the next thing you're asking in this question is here, and why should I get one? Well, you don't have to get nothing you don't want to get. You don't have to get, no one says you have to get one. In fact, for a lot of collectors, the genre that Patek does, they not really that keen on it. Patek uses precious metal, complications, and they tend to go for more watches for more older punters. Let's be honest, the Patek starting point, what is the entry level? It's like a Rolls Royce. There is no entry level. They're all amazing. Probably the least expensive Patek, you're looking at an Aquanaut or a Calatrava, a manual wine Calatrava, starting at the low 20s. That's a lot of money. So, if someone's going to pay we're talking new, $20,000 US, that's normally after they've paid for their house, normally after the kids have finished college, normally after quite a lot of the expenses of life have gone. So to buy a Patek itself there is something that appeals to a more mature, a person with money. Normally that person is older because they've worked for considerable time. They've had a few inheritances come their way, and that's how it goes there. Now, why should you get one? Look, there's nothing to say you should get one. I never believe in forcing anyone into anything, whether it's whether it's joining a church or joining anything. You've got to be free to do what you want. I don't think anyone should be pushed into anything they don't want to do. Why would I suggest you get one? Well, I don't believe in pushing. If you don't want one, don't get one. I don't think that's the right way. But okay, why would I say to get one? Well, they're highly regarded as a watch. Highly decorative and beautifully made. And if that appeals to you, and if you've always want one, then it's nice to have one. But fuckers indeed. No one said you have to get one. No one said that. No one said you have to get one. Why should you get one? Well, for many people, it's something they've had an aim of getting. They've always wanted one. Finally, they have some money, and they get something to make. It's to make yourself happy. That's why should you get one? The brand's got to firstly appeal to you. You've got to have wanted one. And, it's a long process. If you just get one easily, you don't really respect it or care for it. But if it's a long journey to get one, that can be just right, where it feels just right to save the coin, have the coin, and buy an absolutely exquisite wristwatch. I mean, it's like saying to yourself, what would you do if you won the lotto? Okay, you go and buy a Porsche or a Mercedes or a Ferrari, well, depending on how much you win, of course. Then you'd say, okay, I want a new house with a big boat. And you come through your list and you say, what wristwatch would you want? If you had a lot of money you came into, you think, ooh. And Patek really rates there. That's that sort of brand. And if you really, I mean, you don't have to have a Patek. You can respect a Patek without having one. And I don't think anyone should be forced into something that's not them. But if you've always thought, wow, Patek is so amazing, and it's an amazing thing. It's the price of a car for a wristwatch. And it's got retained value. They generally speaking, Pateks themselves, there you buy one. I've always bought them on the secondary market, but they're classic, they're timeless. You buy wisely. I've always bought them on the used market, and they retain value. If not, go up a bit. Yes, they're expensive to service. Yes, the straps are very dear, but it's one of these things. If you won lotto, what would you buy for yourself? If you had an inheritance, a big inheritance came your way, what would you buy? What would make you happy? And I mean, if you're a car person, you'd buy a certain type of car. You may get a Vet, you may get a Porsche, whatever makes you happy. If you're a watch person, watches are your thing. Would you get a Patek Philippe? And it's one of those type of knee-jerk reactions there. What would you get? What would make you happy? And that's the interesting thing. What is it that floats your boat? Now, some people, they want a Rolex. They want a gold Rolex or a platinum Rolex. Well, that's nothing wrong with that. That's a great choice. Some people want a big monster, like an AP offshore chronograph. Royal Oak offshore. Well, fair enough. Some people say, oh, I really like a complicated Patek with many dials and just cool. And that's the thing. Sometimes in life, these things are unattainable and we have a windfall. Think, what would you get? If you could have, but the reason you should get a Patek is, it's one of these things. You do a bit of dreaming. What would you get if you could have anything in the world? What would you get? And you start to say to yourself, you know, what is it I want? I remember, this is what makes it fun, is that many years ago, I remember early 2000s, and the Patek World Time had come out in 2000, and a couple years later, 2003, 2004, I thought, wow, I'd love one of those. I mean, without getting ridiculous, you know, Patek's got perpetual calendar chronographs and sky moon, you know, just ridiculous sort of celestial things, you know, that's just ridiculous. But something still expensive, you know. And I remember thinking, wow, I'd just love a World Time. And they were so dear. It's a lot of money. How could you get one of those? And eventually, you know, over time, the opportunity came up to get one. The model was the slightly older model. It was the size that superseded it. Finally, I got one. I go, wow, that's just amazing. And that's the kind of thing with Patek. You kind of look at them and think, wow, it's so unattainable. And then circumstances kind of fall into place and you think, wow, I can get one of these. And that's the type of thing it is. It's something to have in awe. I'm not saying you have to buy heaps of these things to be happy. I mean, it'd be great if you could, but, you know, they're very dear critters. So, to answer your question, why? Well, it just is considered. And I mean, you look at it. Who else makes 50,000 high-end watches a year of that level, that caliber, that desirability? Why you should get one? Because it's good for dreams to come true. It's really good for the soul. Something that you thought was completely unattainable can come true. So I don't think anyone should be forced into buying anything they don't want to buy. But wouldn't it be so cool? Wouldn't it be cool to have one Patek in your life? I'm Paul Pluta. Tell me what you think. And if your dream comes true, who knows? You might buy my Patek Philippe off me.
We specialize here in pre-owned Rolex watches. Rolex watch is a very special timepiece, and we always do the servicing exactly as factory specifications. We buy a pre-owned piece and we put it into brand new condition. We have Rolex certified technicians working on that. We completely disassemble the piece. We adjust and polish and change every single part of the watch.
You have to have certified watchmakers that know what they're doing. If you have an expensive car, you're just not going to bring it to any mechanic that doesn't know what they're doing.
You spend $5,000, it's like if you put money in the safe deposit box. And 1 or 2 years from now, you will keep having your $5,000. We have to spend a lot of money to get all this equipment together, but makes me feel I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. It's not a question of money, it's my passion.
Jewelers on time, simply the best.